Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to join all our blocks. Now I'm only going to show you how to join them together. I, however, am going to do my layout. I'm going to do the back of my block. Let me see if I can draw this out for you. I didn't bring my paper down. So the back is going to look a little bit like this. That's not what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. We're going to have 3 across and 4 down. So I'm going to have my greens going like this. And then this one will be green. And then these will be red. So let me think. These will be red. And this will be red. And the blank ones will be white. So that's how the back of mine's going to look. You, however, I don't know what the back of yours is going to be. So lay it out however you want. And if they're all the same color, if you use the same background for all of them, then, well, you don't have to worry about that part. So to hook these together, we are going to take one and lay it upside down. Well, we're going to lay them the way we want them together. So this is face up, and if I flip it over, this is straight up too. So then I'm going to turn them to the side, because this is the side I'm going to sew together. And again, if you double check it, it's going to be going, they're going to be facing the same way. So now we're just going to line up, we're not going to line up the red and green pieces. We're going to line up the corners. So I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to feel it there, and they're right even. And I'm going to put a pin right there. So you remember when I was doing them, I didn't measure. So mine are not going to be equal. It is not a big deal. So now I'm going to take this and do the same up here, because these are going to be equal. My blocks are all going to line up at the exact spots. I'm going to pin it there. And then I'm going to put one in the middle. One in the middle of these two. And one in the middle of these two. And then I am going to sew down through. And I have found that it is best to sew onto your fabric here. I didn't do it one time, and my fabric, well, quite honestly, it came unattached. Like, it came out from under the binding. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to sew right down through on the block, and it's going to catch on both sides because I have it pinned exactly where they line up. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Also, I neglected to mention, you're going to start at the block here. You're not going to sew on this part. You can. It won't hurt it. It'll just show up when you fold it over. I've done it. It doesn't really matter either way. I didn't catch the fabric there. I am going to go back and sew that because I do want it to catch the fabric, so I'll be right back. All right, so now we're just going to fold it open. Again, these are bigger blocks, so just best you can. I'm going to snip off all these threads. So now I'm just going to show you this the one time. This is how you'll hook it, and then I will take it and I'll put a white piece attached to this green one. Then on, this will be one of my rows. And then I'll show you how to do the binding on it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So now we're just going to iron it open. I'm not sure where that one came from. And again, I know mine are different colors, and when I quilted them, I used the color that matches the back, but this one will be all white. So now we're going to, I tried to iron this on one, but it doesn't work for me. So we're just going to take this out from under. I don't want to pin it. We're going to fold it over, and we're just going to pin all the way down. Just fold it under as far as you can. I don't like a big border on mine, which is why I cut it a little bit smaller. Now we're going to go back up on the other side. And see, they're different sizes, but again, it doesn't bother me. And if it did, I could make it smaller. I could always trim some off, or I could just fold it over a little bit more and make it a little bulkier, but you know, whatever. Whatever you like. Whatever works best for you. Ugh, there that one went in. Sorry about that. All right, and then again here at the end. And again, we're only going to the edge of the block. So I'm going to just sew up, and I sew as close to this edge as possible to tack it down. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so earlier I told you not to sew all the way to the end, but you do want to sew all the way to the end on that part. Now we're going to, let me get this part out from under there. Now we're going to just fold it down again. So this is my second half. There's the first part. The first block was hooked together. I'm going to spin this around so that's not hanging down. I don't want it to touch the floor. So now we're just going to do the same thing again. We're just going to fold it under. Got some flyaway threads. It'll be all right. There they are. Get my pins. We're going to go all the way down one side. Just pinning. My fabric frays a little, but oh well. It's a little pucker there, but again, whatever. I guess if I didn't point out all my problems, you guys might not notice them. But I just want you to know, I think everybody has them. I don't think everybody would admit it, but everybody has them, I'm pretty sure. All right. And then we'll go back down the other way. And pin it that way. And then we'll sew these together. And then I'll show you how to sew 2 of your rows together. Well, I mean, you know how to sew them together. It'll be just like this, but I'll show you how I pin them. That way you see. Oh my gosh, can you even see this? I'm so sorry. If I wasn't so short, my camera, or I might be able to see what the camera sees. All right. Last one. I'm going to go sew this up, and then I'll be back to show you how to put the rows together. Okay, so I did sew that together. Now, I did want to make a point of showing you. I said earlier in the video you don't want to sew all the way to the end when you're attaching them, but that was a lie. Tricked ya. You do want to sew all the way to the end when you're sewing them together because you want them to be attached in there. When you're sewing your top stitching, when you're hemming the block, so to speak, when you're putting the, I don't know what it's called, when you're folding it over there, that's when you want to start just at your block, because you're going to fold this over and you don't want stitching to show through there. You want that to be smooth. Well, I don't know what you want. Do whatever you want, but that's how I'm going to do it. There they are. I was going to say, I just had those scissors. So now I'm going to attach my 2 rows, my first row and second row. I got lots of threads. I'll go back through and trim them off at the end, what I don't get now. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to attach my seams first, because I want them to be semi-lined up. Oop. So we're going to take the pin and pin right there at the seam. And you want, like I said, you want the block to line up too. So you're going to pin at the seam, but you're going to line up both this seam and the corner of the block. So then I'm going to go back through to the beginning here, lining up the block, not the border fabric or background fabric, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll pin the front corners together, or the first corner blocks together. Now I'm going to go over and line up the second one. See, there's a pretty big space or size difference in those. Let me move that. So I'm going to line this one up here. And again, I want it to line up as much as possible. And the blocks too. The borders and the blocks. It's pretty thick. There we go. And then I'm going to go back and pin this a little bit there in the middle. It gets a little bulky doing this, but it's a lot easier than the whole block, quilting it all at the same time. So then I'm going to move on to the last block. I'm going to pin at the corner and one in the middle. So I have them pretty well lined up. So now I'm going to go sew these together, and again I'm going to sew just on the edge of the block here, so it tacks down the fabric there. And then I'm actually just going to fold that. I'll show you, but I'm just going to fold that down just like I did the separate blocks. So I'm going to go sew those up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've sewn them together, and now just like before, see how there's a pretty big difference there, but it doesn't really matter. Like, if it bothers you, you can trim it up. If it doesn't, then that's great, because you know, it doesn't bother me. So I'm just going to show you one here because it's a lot to separate. So we're just going to fold those over and pin. I may have gotten my ironing mat in there. Just right down through, just like I always did. I'm going to just pin. I won't have my ironing mat under there usually, so. And I'll tuck it under a little, like, to make it a little more even. But honestly, who cares? I mean, I don't know. You might care. And then I'll just sew these all together like that, and then we'll do how I did it is I haven't yet. I'm gonna sew these two rows together, and then I'll sew the other two together, and then I'll sew the two halves together instead of having like 3 and then 4 that I have to sew. So it won't be too that needle too bulky, or you know, at least just the one time when I'm sewing the two halves together, because like I said, I don't have a lot of space, which is why I do quilt as you go mostly. So then I'll come back over. You might not even see all that. I'm so sorry. See, this one is the one I didn't sew together, but it'll be all right because I'm going to sew right over it. A lot of stray threads. Maybe y'all shouldn't watch me. Just kidding. Keep watching. I love you all. Well, I cannot get a hold of that. All right, good enough. So now again, we'll fold it under. That won't be tacked together. Lesson learned. Sew it in the right place. Sew it when you're attaching them together, not when you're not attaching them, or not when you're, yeah, sew them when you're attaching them together, but not when you're, now this one you'll sew straight through, but not when you're just folding it over on the single block. Let's move that. Tired of messing with it. So I'm gonna finish this whole row. I'm not gonna do it on camera. Like I said, my space is pretty small. I don't know if you guys would want to watch me do all that anyway. I do appreciate that y'all watch me though. I am very blessed to have all of you. So we're just gonna pin it all the way down, and then I'm gonna sew that, and then I'll be back to show you how to do the border, which is pretty much the same thing, but I'll show you how to do the corners also. So I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, so I did that one, but this one, the whole row is hooked together, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Just really the same as always. We're going to trim off all these threads first of all. We're going to do it the same way we just did all that. We're going to fold it down and fold it over, and I always pin here first because I want it to line up. If it doesn't, I'm good. I'm not going to cry about it, but if it'll line up, I'd love it to. So then I'll go back and do this part. And I'll show you how to do the corner here. Of course, this isn't hooked together yet, but it will be soon. Like all my blocks, I mean. Oh, this fabric has frayed. I'll trim that in a second. And then right here. And now to do the corner, I'm going to take it and I'm going to fold it down. So I just all the way out, and then I'll take this and I'll fold it down even with the blanket, and then I will fold it over halfway like I did any other row, and then fold it over again. And for that, I am going to clip it because it'll hold it, all those layers, easier than a pin will. Ouch. New pins are sharp too. So we'll just sew right around it there. Let's trim those and redo it. I'll show you one more time. So we're going to fold it just like regular, just like the straight line, I mean. And then we'll fold this over diagonally. So it'll be, I don't know, a straight line instead of a corner. And then we'll fold this over halfway and then back again to fold it. And then I'm going to put the clip on it, like I said. I don't use clips a lot, but sometimes they're necessary. And then I'll continue to go down this line. And then I would go on down, but I'm going to go back over this way. And I'll continue this row. All the way down. Oop, that broke on me. You see that? Well, we'll just lay it there. Get a new one. Do one more on this one. That's what I get when I have all these threads around. I didn't trim that off. I guess I missed some of them when I did it. And now I'll come down here because I've been halfway. So now I'll come down here and I'll line this one up. I have done a terrible job with these threads. I do not recommend it. Also, I just seen that I got a little off camera. Sorry about that. See, these are different sizes. That just means I lined it up differently. So I will, just to make it easier, I'll just trim a little off there. Nothing that's going to affect anything. It's just going to make it a little diagonal, and I'll fold that over. and over again. And I'll pin it. I usually don't have all these threads. I guess I just didn't do it. I don't know. Might be the ones I missed. I thought I did it. I did it on camera with some of them, so I'm not really sure where they came from. Okay, and then I'll do the rest of this one, which will take 2 pins. I do a lot of pinning on this because, like I said, on the one I didn't, it came undone in the middle of, it was in the middle of one of these blocks and it came undone and I had to hand sew it. And while I do like to crochet and cross stitch and stuff, I am not a hand sewer, so I didn't have fun. And then we'll just go on down. And I'll do this corner down here, show you that again. I do enjoy seeing all the pictures that you guys are putting on the group I made. Please keep them coming. So now this one, we're going to do, actually, I'll probably pin this side and fold them so they're all going to go in the same direction. Well, I guess it's not really directional because it's but I'll probably do it this way anyway because, you know, that's what I want to do. So I'll fold down here and I will pin. Maybe. Not with that one. There. And again here. And then I'll do just like I did down on the other one. I'll fold this down. And then fold this one halfway, which the crease was kind of already in there because I already had it done. And then I'll use a clip. And then I'll repin this one. Maybe this will work now. Maybe not. Yep, there we go. So there it is. I'll sew that up and I will be right back to show you how it looks.